Wake up, sheeple. That's right, I'm talking to you. All you sheep out there. You don't even know what's going on with the government and UFOs and other conspiracies, okay? Is Tupac really dead? No, obviously not. Epstein did not kill himself. Yeah, this episode, that's kind of the vibe. I haven't done a podcast in a while. I don't explain why in this episode. Not really. Just said I didn't do it, and I'm sorry. It's kind of the truth of the matter. This episode was kind of like one of my standard recaps. You know, it's been a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks since I've been on. A lot's happened. I talk about my crypto ups and downs. I talk about my personal struggles with COVID and the vaccine. Again, this is not I just told my vaccine, like I got the vaccine, the first dose, and I just had personal issues with the vaccine that was like, whether they're founded or not, it doesn't really matter. I was just saying how I had like a roller coaster with that, and I just explained that all out. Again, not at all giving advice. Don't listen to me. Then I talk about some UFO stuff because they are real. They're here. Look it up. And I give some shout outs to some friends that are doing some cool stuff and give a little update on music, a little update on the decorations going on around here. And yeah, just enjoy it. Soak it. Do not listen to these episodes of my podcast with anything other than like a light comedic heart. Like I'm not even when I talk about like serious stuff or ups and downs or depression, I don't even talk about depression stuff in this, but I always am putting like a lighthearted spin on it because at the end of the day, I mean, at the moment, I'm healthy, I'm happy. We live in one of the best countries in the world, and I'm sitting in an air-conditioned room. And, you know, I always say it with a light heart. Even my struggles with the vaccine were more like just I'm making light of my first world. Like I just have opposite brain. I like whatever everyone else is saying is they're doing. I'm like, oh, okay, ops time. What do I'm just gonna not do that. And it's it's an affliction. Could be a curse. Could be a blessing. I just had like a funny thought. In history, for the most part, if you think about it, the general public, like mass media, what everyone thinks, is technically always wrong in the long-term view. Do you know what I mean? And this was a weird thought I had. It's like throughout history, we believed whatever like modern knowledge knew. So there was a time when people thought, the earth was flat, or there was a time even further back where people thought, they worshiped pagans or giants, or they believed that like there's at certain points in time people believed, and that was the general belief. But in the long term, that group of people is always wrong. And it was like a whack thought where they were right, and they were the most right at the time, but always wrong in the long term. And there was always a few free thinkers that would start a movement towards correctness that is always like fought against. Throughout history, it's always fought against. And correctness meaning still probably in the long term wrong, but an iteration in the right direction. And these people talk about like when everyone thought the earth revolved or was flat and everything revolved around the earth. That's what everyone believed. And the same way like we all believe stuff right now, we'd all be sitting around me like, can you believe like fucking Da Vinci thinks the earth is round? Or whoever, I actually don't remember who thought the earth was round. But like, it's like, can you believe like this kook? Like, oh yeah, we're obviously on a flat earth. Throughout history, there's always those time periods, and the general public is always wrong. And then a few free thinkers come out and they either get like arrested or like they're called crazy, and then over time they are proven right, and then society adopts it. And it just made me think of like, I don't know, like what we believe now and what are some free thinkers saying. And I thought a couple things. One, I still think society for the most part is the most right as a whole. In the future we'll be proven wrong. Everything we believe is probably wrong in a future sense. What we eat, how we live, how we treat the planet, whatever. Medicine. And it's like, what I was trying to think of, who are the free thinkers that are persecuted, and I couldn't think of any examples, but I did think of free thinkers that aren't persecuted, and I actually think that the problem is with free thinkers is, for as many right free thinkers as there are, like as many people that are probably correct and moving in the right direction, there's 10 times as many incorrect Looney Tunes free thinkers that are like not with society, but also just incredibly, terribly wrong. Which is why it's really hard to just be someone in society going like, I'm just going to follow this free thinker. Like, you really have to move slow. But like historically, I think it's usually the persecuted free thinkers that are on the right track. Because, I mean, unless they're proposing something heinous and evil, it's usually like anyone that's proposing something that's substantially different, that will change how people live, are the ones that people are like, no, we don't want that. Whereas like the free thinkers that are accepted are like the ones where people are like, oh, I'm okay with this free thinker. He's just quirky. We like this guy. They're usually the ones that are probably wrong. Weird thought. Just like a weird thought I had. And I haven't really broke it down to if it's meaningful or not, but I just thought it was funny. Like, what I think free thinkers now are like pushing, that we think are pushing boundaries, but society accepts. Like, no, we should be able to do this. And everyone's like, yeah, this free thinker. Yeah. Like, I think those are the ones that aren't actually making any meaningful change. And that's why society's so like, yeah, we like what you're doing. Whereas like other free thinkers that maybe are like, get the plastic out of the ocean. Like, like whatever. And society's like, no, I don't know. I still have my Amazon packages. Like, they're probably the ones that are closer to like the right iterations, or like the free thinkers that are saying stuff that is, what's controversial now? Like, well, I don't even want to say it because it's going to sound like my opinion. Like families are important, and like that, I love how that's controversial now. And that, it's important that there are that we bring families back in the U.S. and it's like a big a culture problem, blah blah blah, and people are like, shut up, it's racism, you're wrong, it's not just racism, it's nothing to do with like whatever. That would be like maybe somebody who's persecuted, and it started to make me think. Anyway, that's the kind of vibe of this episode. Literally, that little wheel spinning, ranting. So enjoy. You're on Almost Famos. It's a rock star talking about shit, talking about getting famous. Let's rock. I'm almost famous. Chill out, mom, I'm doing it my own way. I'm almost famous. I'll freak off yet, I'll make my money someday. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I don't actually remember the last time I did a podcast. A couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't know what happened. I just like, for the first time in a long time. Oh, no, some things happened. 2 weeks in a row, something happened, like busy weeks and like the time I had set aside to do the podcast. Something popped up and I honestly can't remember. But it felt like, I don't know. I was like, fuck. I just like didn't do it. And it kind of felt nice. And then I just did it again and again. And then I started to feel sad. So I'm back. I'm back with, I think, news that's going to change. I think it would change everybody's life, but it just doesn't seem to. But we'll get to that. Sitting in the studio, things are ordered. So I have a banner that's going to go above my head. Sitting right across from me is like the music studio space, like the computer, speakers, all that. I got a banner that's going to go there with the band name. Right above me is going to be the podcast name. To my left, this white wall, we're going to hang this broken smash guitar from our last music video shoot, as well as some foam, like sound insulating foam. But the studio's pretty much done, and it's looking good. To my left, you can't see on camera, but we have a electronic drum set now in the studio. So the only thing we're missing, we bought a bass that was like really cool, 40-year-old Japanese bass. We thought was so rad, and the thing just sucks. It is out of tune up the neck. So if you play instruments or you don't play instruments, like you tune a guitar or a bass, but actually as you go up the neck, if there's something like wrong with the guitar in general, or like it's warped, or I don't even know, it'll actually go out of tune up the neck. And like I'm sure we could fix something or tweak like the bridge. I don't even care. I want it gone. The pickups don't sound good. We want it gone. So we got to get a new bass, but we have an electronic drum kit. And it was so fun the other day. We were working on a demo, Robbie and I, and our roommate producer Kev, who you're familiar with if you've been listening for a while. He knows how to play drums. And he just like came upstairs and was like, "Oh, can I hop on these things?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're actually like gonna put a simple beat to this demo." And the guy just laid down, I'm gonna say straight fire, but like simple fire. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be. We're not looking for Travis Barker. Nah, we need to just. Robbie and I know like 3 or 4 beats on drums, and we would have just laid it down. He came in with a little offbeat double kick, changed the entire demo. The song is now like this upbeat, like want to dance to it, like Jake Gyllenhaal dancing in a music video sort of vibe. So I got to give a shout out to producer Kev for just laying that on there. Normally what we do is we use like an auto drummer to make our demos, just to have some beat in there, and then we bring it to our band drummer to like just do his thing on it. But the problem with the auto drummer is you just like it does regular beats really well, just like during a regular section of a song. It can't do like, there's no like build up option. Like you ever heard a song that's like or like any sort of like, hey, I just want to do like an emphatic like break here with like a one hit. It just doesn't have any of that stuff. And I usually type it out, or we usually make it on the keyboard, but it's just so much easier to just bang it out on a little electronic kit. So we're having fun. But yeah, so the studio's pretty much there. Still kind of waiting on guest comfort. Been asking people to come on, and they're just like, oh, like let's just wait a bit. Let's just wait. They're all in the same boat. They're just like, they want to, but they're like, maybe like let's just wait till everyone's got their first round, which I did. I just got my first round of Moderna, and I mean a lot of thoughts and emotions. I'll tell you what, folks, a lot of thoughts and emotions. First of all, got the Moderna. My cell service has been incredible ever since. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually been shit. I love that that's a joke. People are like, it's 5G. These things are fucking microchipping you. My cell service has been shit. I can't even load a TikTok. Okay, so maybe it's taking too much bandwidth from the government, you know. But no, I'll tell you all my thoughts and feelings about the vaccine. Okay, I'll take you through a little journey. COVID comes out, terrifying. I'm terrified. COVID data comes out after the first 3, 4, 5 months, and I'm starting to see that there is just like nothing to worry about if you're under a certain age and you're healthy and you have no comorbidity. I'm like, then I started to be like, these are all private opinions. I know I'm saying on a podcast, I'm saying like I don't advocate anyone to think like me, because I'm like lightly educated. I mean, I read fucking 4 articles, maybe even skimmed them. So I don't advocate anything, and that's why I never post on Instagram, or because I don't actually know. And but what I was reading when I was doing my skimming is just like, under a certain age, with no comorbidities, you aren't obese, you have a decent immune system, like you actually were more likely to get like really sick from the real flu. Like our percentages were that low. So I started to feel really hopeful about COVID then. I was like, wow, this is a pandemic because it affected, the old and the sick and the obese and stuff like that. But at least for myself and whatever, I was like, okay, this is great. Like there'll come a time where I can get back to work real soon, and we'll protect the people that need to be protected. And, it's not so much of a like rush to get vaccinated and all this shit. And then variants came out. And I was like, cool, tight. All right, let's maybe just lock myself in house. Keep that lockdown going, and let me just see what's going on with these variants. And I mean, right away, the news hits you with 60% more fucking deadly, 70%, your dick will fall off. I was like, oh no, like these variants are coming for us. But again, I looked at when I say I looked at the data, again, don't listen to me. Just do whatever you were going to do anyway. Don't let anything I say change your mind about anything, because I actually don't know. But I looked at the data, and it was just saying like, oh yeah, it's like 60% more or whatever, but like for 60% of like 0.001, like it was going from like 0.001 to like 0.0016 of like, mortality or whatever. Like it was 60% of an increase on a very low number still for people like me. And I was like, okay, nothing to really worry about. Still thinking about my parents and stuff. I was always, looking at their numbers too, but still really promising. Like under 70 was like really still promising, which was great. And like, they're more or less healthy. My dad's a little bit, just because he had like a bad pneumonia last year that he had a really hard time recovering from. We're like a little bit sketched about, but I was like, this is good. This is still really promising for, my sister, brother-in-law, my family, and like my extended family. None of them are really in the 70 plus range. And, but still, I was like, lock it down, because I know some other people's families don't have the same luxuries. But I was just, for my own, like, yeah, I think it's going to be okay. Again, feeling hopeful. These variants are more, but they're not like, it didn't go from like not, it didn't go to anything like too much crazier for still what I was looking at. And so when the vaccines started rolling out, I was like, nah, I hate the idea of vaccines, especially experimental vaccines. I was like, that scares me as much as COVID. Like COVID is like this experimental, like, how does it affect people? These vaccines, I was like, oh, how do these affect people? And I don't want people listening to get mad, because again, not advocating. I got my vaccine, but no, these are just my honest thoughts as like a person that has thoughts. So fucking sue me for having thoughts. The idea with the vaccines being like, first of all, vaccines fuck up. Like, again, I just did a light Google of fucked up vaccines, and they absolutely fuck people up. Even ones that get approved and ones that go through all the things and all that shit. It's like, my feelings with vaccines is I'm so thankful that we have them, and especially the ones that have years and 10s and 20, 30 or 40 years. I'm so comfortable I'll inject it into my cheekbone. The newer vaccines and stuff, like when I got the HPV vaccine, I just hated it. I was like, I really didn't want it. And that's a funny story in itself. But I don't know if this is true, But this is what my family doctor, who's a little eccentric, she's a very eccentric lady. I'll do a quick little tangent. She was like, she's got an accent. I'm not even going to try to repeat it. Eastern European accent. She's like, if you're 25 and you're sexually active, you have HPV. Everyone does. Like, that's the statistics. If you're 25 and you've been sexually active, like, you have it. And I was like 20. I was like just turning 25. And I'm like, so like at 24, I don't? Like, I don't know how this works. She's like, yeah, everyone under 25 has to get the HPV vaccine because once you're 25, you pretty much have HPV and it doesn't matter. And I was like, doesn't make sense, but I don't know. At the time, I was just like, whatever, fucking, I don't want HPV because my uncle actually got throat cancer from HPV that he got in his youth that I guess, I don't know, it does things to men too as well as women. I know it was a big concern for women, but I guess it can manifest as cancer in men as well. But he beat it. Shout out Uncle Denny for being an absolute tank. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, I don't want this for sure, like inject me up because at 24, I guess I don't have it. And at 25, I'm just getting all of the HPV. Didn't really like that. But my idea is like, I just want, the less vaccines I have to get, the better. Like, obviously you get the ones you got to get, but I just don't. I just hated the fact that like a new one was going to get sprung on me. And I hated the fact that also it was like being like experimental and forced. And I know it's not actually forced, but like, buddy, it's forced. Like roommates, parents, friends, family, like everyone is like, the minute I said, oh, I don't know, my mom went into fucking conniption. She's like, what? Like, my roommates were like looking at me like I was like mentally deficient. And I was like, whoa. Like, I just have concerns. I'm not Chris Scaia or whoever that fucking psychopath out there. I'm not telling anyone to do anything. I got concerns. I'm not the only one. And it made me wonder. I'm like, am I actually just wrong all the time? Why am I always not doing what everyone else is thinking? And it bugged me. So I had like a bit of a like, there was a long period of time where I was like, like just waiting for some like positive or negative reinforcement on the vaccines. Obviously, when I say I do my research, I think I just do more than the average Joe. I don't know. I feel like most people are A-okay with trusting the local experts, the local scientists, the people kind of that the government trusts and all that stuff. And I've always taken that as like a good solid source of info, but I don't trust anyone that tells me to do anything. It's a bit of a problem, I know. But like, if someone's like, you should do this, I go, okay. I mean, thanks. But then I always go and I do my own little thing because I'm like, anyone that tells you to do something, I'm suspicious of. It's weird. Advising and stuff is a different story. Hey, this is the info. Here are the goods, here are the bads. You can make your own choice. We advise that you do it. It's a much better way to like present shit to me. If they're like, get the vaccine, you bitch, then I'm like, you're the bitch. I'm gonna do my research. Did the research. It's really there's nothing too one way or the other about it. All the research kind of said is seems safe. I know it's a new technology, but like it's for the most part, the majority of experts say that it's for the greater good. Blah blah blah. I also I hate that argument, but there are like legitimate people that are skeptical, and when I say legitimate, I mean credentialed experts, but their concerns are as like kind of like willy-nilly as the pro-vaccine people. Like they were just like, we're concerned about like this and this happening and like creating like an autoimmune state in the body and like blah blah blah. And there's just no, they have as little to back their shit up. So I'm like, okay, concerns versus not concerns. Just put me in a blender, mate. Just put me in a fucking blender. And so I'm just like, I just got tired of people like when I was having these conversations of just being like, I don't know. And people being like, what don't you know? Like, you're going to, they would just hit you with that fucking news article rhetoric And I was like, fine. Fine. Just fucking, I don't care. Just fucking put it in my arm. Like, it was almost like I'll just fucking die of whatever, COVID or this vaccine. Just, my parents were all just up in my grill, and like my friends and whatever, everyone was like, just get it, dude. I was like, all right. Like, if whatever, something happens, like whatever. And the only thing that really bugged me on top of that is that there's choices, or not even choices. You don't get to choose. That there was options, and you just show up and they give you whatever's there. See, what I wanted is, if we all go down, if you're forcing a vaccine, I want us all to go down together or up together. You know what I mean? If we all got the Pfizer and that's the vaccine, or we all got the Moderna and that's a vaccine, I want all you people, I want to at least be on the same team. We're like, oh, they just turns out that Moderna fucking makes one of your pinkies fall off. I want to be like, oh, looks like we're all losing a pinky. I hate that it's like that we're all in different fucking squads. And all my buddies got fucking Pfizer, and everyone's I'm seeing up there got Pfizer, and I just popped up to the Vax clinic, and they're like, it's Moderna. And I'm like, it's a what? Like, give me that German shit. I want some fucking German stuff, mate. And they popped the Moderna in me, and like now I'm like, just like, my arm killed for like 3 days, and I was like, is this normal Moderns? And I had no one to talk to about that because they're all Pfizered up. We'll see. Anyway, that was like my little slew of emotions. You know what it was? It was funny because I was like, what if it kills me? Like, oh, wait. Meanwhile, like, I ride dirt bikes and like I fly planes and I fucking do all this other shit, and I had no problem like huffing on the experimental Juul for a year and a half, and I also crush liquor, and I was just like, it's a bit of a funny sitch to be like. It's like that meme I've seen online where it's like girls who, it's basically a girl being like, oh, like I'm a vegan, like I don't put none of that trash in my body, while she's like doing a line of cocaine with all sorts of experimental stepped on ingredients. That's kind of where it kind of fell down with me. It's one of those things where what bugs me is that there is just not enough info, and I like making informed decisions, and I hate that because of that there's just like these experts out there, and I say they're experts because they have their credentials being like, I'm not getting the vaccine for this, that, and that, and it also fucks with my brain when Joe Rogan is like, no, I'm not getting the vaccine, and like, I know Joe Rogan doesn't know shit, but what Joe Rogan does have is a absolute network of experts. Like, if that guy's talked to more fucking experts and has on speed dial more probably people that he can ask the questions that I want to ask, that the internet has a hard time really like laying out for me. Just being like, hey, like this expert that I had on my show, like, what do you think? What do you think now? Like, now that these variants are out, like he can get those answers. And he chose to, at least at the moment, not get vaccinated. And like, a part of me just, what I didn't like is that I didn't have the same kind of luxury of choice. I know I did, and I could have fought it, and I probably still would have ended up getting the vaccine just because honestly my parents just like truly really wanted me to have it, and they felt uncomfortable. And my text to them was like, I trust you guys. Like, you guys have led me so far in life the right way. So if you guys really feel this strongly, which they did, they were like, get it India, please. I was like, I trust you. But what just made me uncomfortable at the end of the day was like this, like really like kind of like helpless feeling. And, my roommates obviously did a good job of being like, listen, like there's people, helpless. Like think about like in India where you like they're begging for a vaccine and like all this shit, like it's helpless in some areas. And so yeah, obviously those are just like my honest, I didn't advise a single person with those thoughts. I didn't tell us, like there's a fine line between people making personal choices and people that make personal choices and then are like, you're wrong. You are wrong. You do what I'm the right guy does. And I would never do that because I don't fucking know. Maybe if I felt like super, super, super strong, but I would need a lot of info to feel that type of way. And like, all I did was like, I read research papers, the conclusion, and the data. Like I look at the charts and then put under it, be like, oh, like mortality or serious symptom rate by age or by like whatever factor. I'll look at that and I'll look at the conclusion. I don't do any real research, and I don't think anyone does. And I think a lot of the people that post like random, you should do this or this is how you should live your life, don't do any more than that. There's probably a few people that really dive in the research, but then I'm starting to think about like, what are their biases? Are they really only researching stuff that approves their opinion? Are they dismissing stuff that disproves it? So I really don't trust kind of anyone because we're all human. So I just like to hop on the internet and just look at I go to DuckDuckGo. It sounds so lame, but it's just like, it's a search engine that's not so politicized, at least not yet. At least I don't think so. Whereas Google does do a lot of content filtering to try to like remove, I'm not going to say conservative, but just because the conservative is like the alternate narrative to the mainstream, it usually ends up being a lot of conservative stuff, but like any anti-vax or like whatever, they'll try to remove, which fair enough, I guess, for the most part of the population. But for someone like myself who just wants to see both sides, I just like to pop on something else. But yeah, it was like it was a trip. And I still like mope about it in my own like personal, like I actually like secretly hate that I have been vaccinated. Not that I wouldn't have done it eventually, just that I hate being like early to shit. I just wanted to like kind of like selfishly be like, what's going on? Like, which is the best? Like, wait a few months. I would have locked down. I'm not going to spread her around. But yeah, that's just how it went. And I was like, fuck it. So I'm vaccine number 1. Also, man, if it helps me get guests on and if it helps me get back to work and it keeps people safe and all this and it's likely safe, I'll just roll my dice on the odds like I do with everything else dangerous that I do. Not saying that it's dangerous. Again, not giving advice. Do not listen. These are my personal, like private thoughts, not anything I've ever advocated. And I guarantee your guesses as what is right is probably as good as mine. But yeah, been a bit of a roller coaster, and just that mixed with being locked inside is just, it just takes its toll on the old mental. But summer's here. The good weather is just recharging me, and I felt a burst of energy, and I thought I'd hop on the pod. Just exercise. This is it's like an exercise for me to chat. I like just chatting, and I think if I didn't have a forum for this, I'd kind of, I don't know, I'd find something else to do. But I really like it. I'll just move on. Fuck the vaccine. Like chat. Fuck COVID, man. I'm just actually so tired of it. But it's our fight. I noticed something funny while I was speaking of like conspiracies, and I'll start this story off with where it starts. But when we moved into our house here, we got Wi-Fi, and I always like to think of a nice Wi-Fi name. It's just there's little chances in life to lighten life up, to be a little comedic. There's little points in time where you can, hey, why not make a fucking funny Wi-Fi name, especially when you live in a complex. Like, we live in a complex, so we can see like 40 different Wi-Fis. So I know people are going to be seeing it. So we kept it light. We made our first Wi-Fi FBI surveillance van. Obviously keeping it light. People are, oh, FBI, oh, ha ha ha. The rest of the stuff, like, I looked up funny Wi-Fi names, but I don't like the idea of copying other people. But I'm sure someone else has done that. But I just had noticed that there was no creative Wi-Fi names in the plaza, and I was like, this is an uncreative plaza. And then we got a second modem right beside me to my right because, you know, it's a tall place. You need 2 modems. So, you know, I made that one. UFOs are real. You know, just let people know that they fucking are real. They are. They're real. All right? There's no 2 ways about it. And I just noticed recently when I was looking at Wi-Fis that I think we've sparked a little, you know, I think we sparked some creativity. I saw someone's Wi-Fi was NSA spy device -TO, and then all these like letters and numbers. They got super creative. They tried to make it look, you know, like a serial code. Bill Clinternet. I like to think that we inspired a little bit of, oh, haha, we're in that type of complex, you know? But the reason I got into the story is to segue to the UFOs are, part of the also reason why I'm like, okay, fuck COVID, fuck vaccines, put it in my arm, I don't care, is because every time I start to like get too wrapped up in my own issues, I remember and I'm reminded that UFOs are officially here. Why isn't anyone going crazy? Like this isn't a kooky guy saying there's UFOs anymore. It's the Pentagon. It's the Gon. They're going, hey, yeah, there's UFOs. And not only the Pentagon, all the major world governments have some sort of military official saying, yeah, there's always been, they've been around for quite some time. And I think the reason why the Pentagon is releasing it now is because maybe we can handle it now. And by handle it, I think people are just numb. And I was having a chat, and I don't know if I want to loop him, his name into this chat if he wants to say low key on the. He's a fucking UFO head like myself. Let's go. But he texted me a new video. Well, I guess it's from 2019, but newly released video. And there's all these types of videos getting released, and it's mainly from a group of journalists that like George Knapp or whatever his name is. I don't even know. This group of journalists that are so into it, that are like digging up and locating and not forcing, but like pushing the government to release certain stuff. They released a video of a UFO that was filmed on a Navy infrared camera doing all sorts of whack stuff, and then its final like show was that it went under the water and just disappeared under the water. And this video, this was a global news article, so this isn't like, I'm not getting this off of some like Reddit page. This was on global news, and it's verified by the Pentagon. The Pentagon says, yes, this is a real video, and the Pentagon has also, you know, already confirmed that there are crafts. And I think what my friend said is that they're going to do a bigger kind of like press release on it. He also sent a thing that I think it was from the government. I think it was an official report that these crafts are at least 100 to 1,000 years beyond us. And that, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but think about how fast things moved between 1900 and 2000. We're talking about horse and carriage to electric and motorized hypercars, spaceships recreationally, Wi-Fi, video through your phones, the internet, crypto, like 3D printing livers, artificial intelligence. Imagine another 100 years of exponential growth. 100 years. Imagine 1,000 years of exponential growth, you know, assuming we don't get wiped out by ourselves or by some extinction event. So, you know, people, I think where it still gets Looney Tunes is assuming it's aliens. That stuff is like, how the fuck could you tell? Maybe the government does know, but at least for the general public, we still don't know. All the government has officially said to us is that these are unidentified crafts that are way more advanced than any human technology. So all it means is there is an advanced civilization out there. Whether, I mean, this is where it starts to sound fucking kooky, but whether it's interdimensional, because like we don't really understand dimensions and time as much as we think we do, but what we do know is that it can be manipulated and that there likely is dimensions. And so whether it's interdimensional, whether it's people from the future, it's us from the future, or whether it's people from different planets, or whether it's we're in a simulation, it's there. They're there. And they've been there for a long time. And it's been secret for a long time. And now they're admitting to it. And it makes me think, like, why isn't this freaking people out? Why do people not give a fuck? Why is it like, oh, I don't know if I want to get the vaccine and Donald Trump's a racist? Why isn't it like, hey, there's an advanced civilization buzzing around us. What the fuck are we doing? Why are we just going to eat McDonald's and like being sad all the time when there's impending some sort of unveiling, or maybe not, but like there is this happening and we know nothing. Like that's a real, like you think that would be all over the news. And if this was 20, 30 years ago, it would be crazy. The world would go in flames. People just being like, holy fuck, there's aliens, it's official, all this shit. Now people literally don't give a fuck. I told my dad, I was like, Dad, like there's like, I sent him the video and I was like, isn't this crazy? Like there's UFOs, it's official. The government's not even denying it. Like we got them. Like they're here. What do we do? And he was like, he reacted to it as if I told him about my day. He's like, oh, wow. It's crazy. Hey, when are you coming up north this weekend? And I was like, oh, nobody gives a fuck. I think it's just because there's nothing we can fucking do about it. It's kind of how I felt with COVID and the vaccine and all this shit. I was like, that, but there's nothing I can do about it. Literally not. I can't do a thing. I'm not a researcher. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a politician. I'm not even an enthusiastic civilian looking into it. So you just like, I'm not in the military. There isn't a thing I could do about it. So I think what my friend said when we were talking about it is he was saying that think about how desensitized we are because the news is so doom and gloom about everything. Like to the point where we're calling people who we're calling Ben Shapiro a Nazi. You know what I mean? We're saying that if Donald Trump becomes a president, the world is going to end. Like they go doom and gloom. Like holy fuck, I think people are going to die if Donald Trump gets president because he tweets. Like what? Other than being agitated by him, I don't think he fucked your country up. I don't know. I don't think I don't. For me, the last 4 years, there was no catastrophic event that could come even close to an advanced civilization landing. But the news is so like, this is the end of the world, doom and gloom for the last like 20 years about like the way they get their ratings is by making it doom and gloom. Now, when someone tells me something's doom and gloom, it goes right by me. Like they go, oh, this is happening and it's doom and gloom. I go, no, it's probably not. Oh, this Jewish conservative guy disrespected trans people and he's a Nazi. I go, probably not. You know, that doesn't sound like you tell me things that are true. I don't know anything about this guy, but I'll tell you that doesn't sound right. And we're just desensitized. I spend so much time on social media. I see so many things that my brain just fucking doesn't care anymore. We're just like this like wall of. You could literally tell me aliens are walking and 1 in 5 people are aliens, and we've just confirmed this, and here's the alien species. They did a video conference on the news, and they go, yep, we've been here for a while. 1 in 5 people are actually us. I go, makes sense. Oh, I wouldn't be like, who's a fucking alien? Maybe I'm an alien. Have you ever thought about that? I always felt a little different, Maybe I'm an alien. Maybe aliens have been around since, people think they've been around since Egypt and beyond. Maybe aliens been here for a minute. But yeah, anyway, like it is interesting how my whole argument with the news being doom and gloom is for kind of this reason. Is like I kind of want to know what is doom and gloom. I don't really care. Is it just me? But I just don't really care about what some like liberal or conservative commentator has to say about things. Like, oh, you should do this, or you shouldn't do this, or you should treat people like this, or you shouldn't treat people like that. I have a really specific set of values that my family gave to me, that my local, like on a more local level, my local group of friends and my local community like generally abides by. And that's like accepting people, loving people, not stealing, being a good person, being polite when you can. And I mean, fortunately enough, I think this is more the case in Canada than not. The Canadian value system is not to be racist and not to be like, at least, I'm sure people listening are like, no, someone was racist to me. Sure. Maybe. These values that I was raised with that I thought were Canadian values didn't include that. It wasn't like, I love people except if they're not like you. It was like, no, you fucking show up to baseball camp or camp and you got a group of boys in your cabin. One's like Mexican, one's black, 7 are white. That's who am I kidding? It's Canada, but and that's just your cabin. Those are your boys. As long as they're nice kids and you just hung out. There was no like, you're going to camp and your parents are like, hey, just stick with them whites. It was a Christian camp too, so maybe these values they could come from religion as well as the Canadian shit. But I just don't care. Like, I couldn't imagine caring about what other people do so much, because it's another thing you can't really control. Why stress about what you can't control? If someone wants to do something that you seriously disagree with as a personal life choice, why does it bug you? And I understand that people say, well, if it comes into my world, then it starts bugging me. I'm like, what's your world? In public? That's not your world. That's everybody's world. If they come into your house and you're a homophobe and a gay guy breaks into your house and tries giving you fellatio, that's rape. You don't have to worry about that neither. That's a rapist. That's not gay culture kicking your door down and giving you a blowy. It's just funny. Like, I don't know why I always talk about this shit. It's like, this is supposed to be a podcast about the fun trials and tribulations of a rock band getting famous, but it's more just a me like spilling some some of this insider tea. Yeah, I thought that was funny. UFOs are real. Look it up if you don't believe me. Like, take a hot second to go look up the official reports. They're here. What do we do about it? I don't know. Maybe keep gas in your car if you have a car. Maybe keep a couple cans of beans in the cellar if you got to live for 3 or 4 days, maybe 3 or 4 months without power if they take out the grid. I don't know. Maybe just accept our fate that we're an inferior civilization and we have no control over things. And that's probably why people don't really care. They're like, I just got to go about my life. I still have to feed my kids. You can buzz around my head, aliens. I still got to put that bread on the table. Another thing on my list, I got to give some hype ups here. Kristen Mandela has been on the pod a bunch. She's launched her podcast. It's called Accidental Friends. I think it's just Accidental Friends Podcast on Instagram. Check it out. What's her vibe? I called her after the podcast and I was trying to like figure out like, what is the demographic? What's the vibe? And she says she's still hashing it out, but her and her podcast host Eileen the story is that they were raised really differently and somehow met randomly at a New York apartment and now are friends and are kind of just talking about, girl stuff. I think episode 2 was about being friends with boys growing up, because I know Kristen was friends with a lot of guys growing up, so she touched on that. But just like general, like their perspective on stuff, and it's cool. Just give them a shout. I mean, I think I'm Kristen is one of like my childhood friends, and she's just someone that I've always had these types of chats with, and she's got I wouldn't say the opposite perspective to me, but very close to it. And which is funny because, a lot of times the way I talk, people think I'm just like some, I don't know, like brash or rude, or it's more people that don't know me. Like if I'm at a party and I make a joke, my jokes are very like comedy is an even playing field for me. I don't think, I don't really censor myself, which is a problem, but it's also just like kind of who I am, and the people that are friends with me are chill with it. So like sometimes outsiders are like, oh, that Travis guy, like he's in it. He's X or he's Y. But it's funny because like one of my best friends is the epitome of like, tree hugging, vegan, for the environment, like good. I mean, I'm for these things too, but my perception is that I'm not. But I also will happily joke about the opposite side. Like I'll happily joke about like, just eating a good old cow. And we're friends because we can find common ground, because what we believe personally doesn't define, like it's such a better way to make friendships and relationships. So her podcast would be like, she's funny, she's chill, and she's got the female perspective. Also been friends with guys, so she knows like what guys kind of what's going through her mind a little bit, so she can bring a little bit of that. Her podcast host I've met a handful of times, really awesome, really funny girl. So I'm sure that's going to be fun. So congrats to them. And another shout out, her brother, Mike Mandela, guy I play video games with a lot, goes by Cheek Clapper in the Warzone. Absolute filthy at video games. He's like, we're the ones that kind of went deep on it. He just started a hat company called Members Bounce Apparel. I got to give him a shout. He just went out and made a company. I mean, I personally know, and I say all the time, it's easy. Not like to downplay what he did. The same way I say starting a podcast is easy. It's simple, not easy. It's simple. The tools are right there. If you have an afternoon and maybe a couple weeks after that to nurture an idea, you can make a business. I've made 7. I don't even know how many businesses I've made at this point. It's very simple, but it's not easy for some reason. People just, there's fears involved, or fears of failure, or like if I even try, then I have to tell people I'm doing it, and it's like there's this whole, that's what makes it hard, is like the human element. So I always got to give props to, and Kristen's boyfriend started. He quit his job and started a personal fitness business. Andres, man, congrats, dude. So I gotta shout all these people out. Give me a hot sec, because I think it takes a lot of fucking nuts. Not because it's complex. It's actually very simple, but everything in life is simple. We just don't do it because we're humans, and that's the hard part. And I'm really proud of people that just do something different, because, I mean, like, why not? There's aliens. Like why not? Like, it's I don't know. It just gets me going. So let me pull these up. Okay. It's Andres, ANDRES .AGR fitness. I'm not going to spell fitness. You got to know how to spell fitness, my guys. So Andres.agrfitness. Follow his Instagram. Accidental Friends Podcast. Let me pull that up here. Yeah, Accidental Friends Podcast, all one thing. And then Members Bounce Apparel is Mike Mandela's golf hats. He started out with just golf hats. He just put a cool design on it. So if you need a nice golf hat, hit him up. It's more just about like, just, you know, it's one of those things with even the beer company that, I mean, I still say we're sponsored by them, True History. The only reason why I haven't brought them around is because I'm really not proud of kind of like where I'm at with the podcast. And I really like putting like a best foot forward. And I've been telling them I want to bring them back on when I get guests, and I haven't really got guests. And in the last year, it's just been like a couple buddies that have come over, and I really appreciate them for doing it. But I mean, for me, the challenge with guests is not with buddies. Like it's not that I don't love having buddies and whatever on. It's about getting people that are a little bit outside my friend group, because that's the more exercise to me, is like pushing your comfort zone, reaching out to someone that's a little bit outside your friend group, and doing that at least every once in a while. And also, you know, having the banner and having the studio set up look nice. It's just, I kind of wanted to have that before. I want to be like proud of what I've got. And it's, you know, it's a bit of a real point that the truth of the matter is, like, I'm sitting here doing it alone, and I'm just because I'm not proud of it doesn't mean it's not valuable and it's not entertaining to some. It's just like, I got to get it there, man. It's again, it's simple, but it's not easy because, you know the drill. So I give these people shout outs. It's just about, like, if you see a friend doing something, like I buy beer anyway. I love beer. And you have a friend making a beer, especially if it's a good beer, like, buy their fucking beer. If you got a friend making music and it just happens to be music that you also like, you're going to listen to music anyway, or you're going to whatever, listen to their track. Someone makes a golf hat. If you're going to buy a golf hat, and I mean, this is, take it with a caveat. I'm not going to buy a golf hat. I don't buy clothes. I don't have a lot of extra money. I'm in debt because I throw all my money into fucking music and gaming and some secrets that I'll say later. I just bought some stuff that's cool. But if I was, like, and I may actually, you know, when golfing opens up, I'll buy his hat because they're cool. And, you know, if I'm going to put on a podcast, you don't have to do it all the time. Like, I love listening to all these other podcasts, but if I got a minute and I'm like not really knowing what to, just throw their podcast. It's just like, I mean, if you could do it, you can do it. And I know if you have a lot of friends and there's a lot of people saying, look at my clothing company, whatever. But I mean, if they're your closer friends or people that are in your closer thing, at least give them a little shoop-de-whoop, because they're doing something that, kind of puts themselves out there in a vulnerable position. So yeah, I work out. I'm gonna talk to Dre about maybe being the personal trainer for this absolute specimen here. I know his girl Kristen messaged me about getting a workout plan from him. So just got to give them all shout outs. I love the idea of other people starting podcasts too, because Lord knows I've been doing this for 3 years, and I mean, I still got my homies listening to it. The 250 or so average listeners that's amazing for a podcast. It's, but like, Lord knows I'm not fucking climbing the podcast ranks and doing anything. I want so badly for either me or one of my close friends to get big in podcasting or music, so we can just help each other out. Like, the same way, if my podcast blew up in an instant, I could just, like, oh, you're starting your fitness company, Dre? Like, let me give you I just want to be Joe Rogan. I love that. I love that ability that he has to just be nice to people so simply, as just have them on a thing, and it helps them out. That's dope. But yeah, give him a shout out. Check him out. If you're interested in any of those things, if you're not friends with them, I understand. But if you're interested in any of those things, check it out. But yeah, speaking of purchases, that's what I'll get into. Crypto, baby. Travi Crypto over here. I'm I've taken all my CFAs. I'm a little bit of a numbers guy. I got to give myself a shout out, man, for being weird like that too. I love just like Excel documents and numbers and formulas, and I was able to pass the CFAs quite I wouldn't say easily because it was hundreds of hours of studying, but I didn't find it like an insurmountable challenge. I even work part-time in finance now. I work for a firm just as like their analyst and admin, just like running their little analyst doc or their Excel documents, like doing like that type of research and shit. But I got into crypto in 2018. My mentor, I was in a program for one of my businesses, an entrepreneurship program. And my mentor in that program was like, dude, you gotta look into crypto. And his first business was in tech. His like full-time job at the time was working with startups. So he kind of had his ear to the floor and like just was always talking to people about what's the next thing. And he was like, crypto, dude. He was like, this is the thing. This is the thing. And so that's why I first heard about it. And I also had no money then. Shocker. I'll be a guy that will eternally have no money. Like I'll be a millionaire and I'll have it like all spread out into like assets, and I will just not have. I'll have like $500 in my bank account. But he's telling me about crypto, and I think the one at the time he was. I was like, which one? If I was to get like, you know, because obviously like there was Bitcoin and stuff at the time, but he's like, oh, like Ripple. Ripple was at like 9 cents or like 0.09 cents. It was something super low. So I heard about it and I just didn't put any money into it because inaction is, I've learned now that inaction is the same as a failure. And I am a big inaction guy when it comes to a lot of things. Specific things, I'm all action and I'm do, but they're in my comfort zone. I'm an inaction guy when it comes to like these like opportunities, and I'm learning from it, and that's what I'll get to now with my crypto playground. But he told me about it. This was like maybe 2015, 2016. I forget. Maybe 2016, I think. 2016, 2017. And I didn't act on it. And then in 2017, crypto, it went big. It went big. People were making 10x, 100x. And Ripple went to like, I don't know, it went to like $4 or something. I honestly don't remember. These are really loose. But let's just say it went from like 9 cents to maybe like, I know it's at $1.50 now. So maybe it went to 90 cents or $1.50. And I was like, wow, if I just put in $1,000, you know, I'd have $10,000 or $15,000. And I know it's always easy in hindsight, but still, if I put in $100 or $500, and I got the FOMO, and I was like, you know what? I just don't want to be the guy that misses out. And as many new investors do, I bought at the absolute, I'm talking like the peak, because it took me a while to figure out even how to buy crypto. I had to figure out the exchanges, how to get money, and how to trade stuff around, and I didn't even know what to buy. So it took me a while, and like I bought crypto, and it was at its peak. And I remember like I was at Christmas. I was at the family Christmas, and I was that kid that just bought crypto. I was like, crypto. Have you heard of crypto? You guys heard of crypto? I'm now in crypto. I'm in crypto, in the space. Crypto, Uncle John. You heard about crypto? I was that guy. And they're all like, sounds scary, and I don't think we're into it. I'm like, you guys are, it's the future, blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks later, tanked. And I felt pretty stupid. It went down like 50, 60%. All the money I put in just fucking disappeared. You know, I was just like, okay, that's why you don't do this, right? That's why we don't do this. Just embarrassed. And I think, you know, I'll give myself credit though. I was like, but I didn't buy it for the short term. And that's I was like, I bought it for the long term. This was a long-term hold. I was never going to day trade this. So yeah, as terrible as this is, I'll hold it. And then I forgot. I didn't forget, but like, I just like never thought about it. And 2 years later, 3 years later, crypto boomed again. I made like 300%, even though I bought at the peak, 3 years ago. And it was just like another one of those, I don't know, it's just like taking those risks. As long as you do it, for the right reasons, and you're not buying high and selling low, like I didn't sell or take my money out at the bottom, and just following like some standard principles, like taking action can be a good thing. With and also, sorry, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, I have no idea how long the video cut out for, but the memory card filled up, and I put a new one in there, but no idea how long that was black for. I'll put a little message. I put a little message in the screen saying when it will come back in. But yeah, that's also why I honestly might have lost my train of thought, because I took a little minute to swap memory cards. But yeah, the crypto thing that came up 300%, and so I just had this I had some money, and I'm spending a lot of money, like my rent's high, like shit's high, music is so pricey right now, and I just needed some cash, and crypto's at a peak. So I was like, all right, now's the time. You sell high, and guess what? When you buy low and you sell high, you make a guaranteed profit. It's funny how that works. It's impossible for you to profit if you sell low. Yeah, I took my money out, and like I'm talking about the next day. This isn't an exaggeration. The next day after I took my money out, it dropped like 20%. Crypto did. And I was like, oh, that's nice. It's nice when that happens in your favor sometimes. But don't worry, it all comes back full circle to me getting rinsed again. So part of my like taking action and not being afraid is crypto, because I have my financeability. I know crypto is really volatile and not really like a security, but it kind of is. You can use, I think technical analysis works more on crypto than like chart analysis than on like regular stocks, because I feel like the only people that are in crypto are like a bunch of chart analyzers. So they set up all their moving averages and stuff, and they set all their buy and sell orders around that. So it just because a lot of the people in crypto are doing chart analysis, I think it follows chart analysis pretty well, which is funny. But so part of my thing is like, okay, like take some risks, like just do something. Just don't be the guy who sits around. Well, idiots, I'm talking literal idiots, make millions of dollars because they put $15,000 of credit card debt into Dogecoin and it went to the moon. There's actually a theory, I forget what it's called, where dumb people are oftentimes more successful than smart people. Not saying I'm either, because they're just not afraid to take action and just fail and just like learn from doing and stuff like that. And I think crypto is a great example of, there's a lot of really smart people that made a lot of money, but there's a lot of fucking idiots, which is brilliant. I think it's brilliant. And I say idiots in a very endearing way, because I think I'm more idiot than smart guy. I just didn't want, I now know that inaction is a failure. And it's okay. It's okay to put money in and not know, and as long as it's not too much of a risk, and as long as you do your research, like. So yeah, I talked to my parents, my brother-in-law, a few friends, and just said, listen, I want to put my CFA to use. I can't really trade because I work for a financial institution, and like I can hold stocks, but I can't really do like fun stuff, trade that often. I don't really like the idea of proving all these trades and shit. And the stock market, I'm not really that interested in. But crypto's fun. I like technology. I like crypto. So I was like, and it uses kind of like the market fundamentals that I learned in my CFA. So I was like, hey, I already know enough about crypto from 2018. I know how to exchange it. I know how to trade it. I've made some follies in trading and lost money, and like I kind of have a decent baseline of how to look at the charts and stuff. If you have some amount of money, because parents, they have investments. So I was like, Do you have some investments that you're down to get some crypto exposure? It's super risky, it's super volatile, but like, why don't you get some exposure to it? I'm going to start a little like micro fund. And when I say micro, I mean like, $10,000-$15,000. And like, I showed them, I called a few buddies that are in crypto, did a little bit of research, kind of said, even with all this research, I guarantee you I don't have a clue where it's going to go, but I do think in general this technology is the future, and I do think it's bubbling again right now. I'm noticing a very familiar pattern, and it will likely probably deflate. But that being said, there is ways to make profit in the long term by putting crypto into stuff that earns interest, like the DeFi market. And, maybe it doesn't deflate right away, and maybe it goes up and down, and there's chances where I can buy dips and sell highs and make some profit. But, I just kind of made a move, and parents were skeptical, people were skeptical, but I was able to get, $6,000 to start, and I'm going to put some more of my money back in. I just have to sell. I have an old car that I'm going to get rid of. And I'm just going to get back into it. And I saw crypto take a 30% dip last week. And I said that, what a good opportunity to, I don't know if it's going all the way down, but I'll get some money at least at a discount from the previous high. So I put $3,000 of it in and spread it out. And, I'm talking like, the next day, crypto had plummeted maybe another 20%. And I'm like throwing these like loose figures out. Like let's just say like when I bought in, I don't know, maybe it was at 60,000 US, and then it like has recently plummeted to like 30. Or maybe I bought on like 50. I don't really remember. I'd have to look at my things. Terrible fund manager over here. But the idea is like I bought at a little discount, and then it kept going, and now I'm like terrified to, kind of report back, being like, hey guys, like I know this is a long-term thing, but I've immediately lost 20 to 30% of your money. But I kept the other $3,000 aside because I kind of was suspicious that things are bubbling, and I wanted to just get some exposure also just to learn about how the DeFi market works a little bit. And I kept the money aside. If it keeps going down and down, kind of great, because I'll buy as low as I can get, and it'll kind of nullify the fact that I bought at somewhat of a peak, and it'll kind of average out. And because it's a long-term hold. I'm thinking that cryptocurrency is the future. I think electronic currency is the future, especially decentralized, moving towards a global kind of thing. I just don't know which one's the winner is going to be. It's going to be like the internet. You got to kind of guess which are the winners. But if you spread it out against a bunch of really promising projects, as well as maybe do some funny business in between to like take your profits out, I think you can do a good job. And that's what I pitched. That's what I moved into. But I also bought a crypto miner. And it's just cool. Like I took a risk. I did the research. I found I'm not gonna say what it is and stuff yet, because I kind of like, I guess I could, just because I don't want to like give advice or anything like that. But it's called Helium. I saw ads for it on TikTok, which is funny to say, but I also saw a couple other crypto people I follow talk about it. And how Helium works is they want to decentralize internet. They want to decentralize like, kind of Wi-Fi, and instead of using cell towers or like decentralized like mobile internet, instead of using cell towers, if a bunch of people have nodes around a city that are in contact with each other, that are linked with each other, you can decentralize, phone internet and stuff like that, which is a cool concept. And you can actually buy one of these nodes, and in return for operating a node, they give you cryptocurrency in their token, which is the Helium token. I think it's HNT, and it's a it's a strong token. It's a strong business. I did my research, and I also did my research. What you need on the node is you need height, elevation, because you need line of sight to another node. So some people buy tall antennas, or some people have, tall homes. Like luckily I'm in a tall home that's on a hill. So I have line of sight down to the rest of the city. And I did a few calculations. I looked at what nodes around me are making. They're making like 200 US a day at the moment. It's gone down because of the crypto crash. So take 40% off of that. The miner was like $600, and I did a little bit of research, and it seems risky. It seems kind of like a YOLO, but I just did it because I'm like, I'd rather lose $600 on something that potentially can make me 200 US a day. And if I had just done this 6 months ago, I would have been earning that. It's like fucking 40 G's of passive income. And I kind of started getting this wave of inaction really is a failure. Like it's comfortable because you didn't do it. So you think, oh, I didn't do it, but I didn't miss like whatever. Like I didn't lose anything, but you did. You lost out on the upside. And I'm not saying to get into crypto because you could just lose your shorts on it, but just with things in general. If there's an opportunity and someone you trust is telling you about it, maybe take it a bit more seriously. I know I should have way back when my mentor told me about, and I trusted him a lot. I believed him, and I still didn't act on it. And it was just a bit of a learning lesson. And now I have friends that are, I'll say two friends that are multi-millionaires off of cryptocurrency. So it's cool. I don't know. But yeah, that's the crypto wave. I think that's pretty much it. It's kind of scary because it could go to zero and regulations could come in and whatever, but as long as you only risk an amount of money that you can afford to lose, and it's an investment in assets that are, it's yielding, I'm going to put it in this like network which yields interest. So it's not really, it's not that crazy. And kind of my new wave versus being just a straight up entrepreneur that trades a product or a service for cash, is I really like managing assets. And I think it really plays into my strong suits. I love evaluating projects. I love doing cost benefit or cost, what is it called? It's a cost benefit analysis. I love just breaking stuff down. I love research. I love numbers. I love making spreadsheets, and finance is great for that. That's why I went into it, but I don't like stocks. Honestly, it's like sports betting, which is fun if you're into sports. Stocks is basically really advanced sports betting, where teams are companies. But I'm not into those companies. I don't know why, but crypto's just maybe new and shiny and exciting, and I think the technology is like really cool. Like just decentralize the internet, decentralize content ownership, like NFTs, and just the idea of taking power away from big central organizations like banks and stuff like that. As much as I don't want to see banks disappear at all, I just really like the idea, and just seeing how mismanaged banks and governments do with their own currencies and banks do with the market. And I don't know, I'm really interested in it. So I'll play the sports betting game on that shit. But I had a weird week. Like I was making music, going to the studio. I was doing finance work, working on, these models for this financial institution. And meanwhile, like having blonde hair, and like being like a bit of a rocker. And then I did some, real estate media advertising for that company. And now I'm doing a podcast. And then the other day I was working on, my dad's car was broken down. It's just battery was completely kaput. And it's like a fucking, I don't know, I'll say it's a BMW, and like the battery's underneath like a little electrical control unit like buried deep in the trunk, and I just was like watching videos and like disassembling this control unit and like taking this massive battery out, and I just had to give myself props on being like this whack like. And on the weekend, a few weekends ago, I was building, cutting and installing like deck boards on a staircase, and I built a fucking shed in a greenhouse, and I was just like, I gotta take a second to give myself a little, ow, that's my vaccine arm, give myself a little pat on the shoulder, and like, man, there's something to be said about being a little handy dandy, good with numbers. And I just took a moment to actually appreciate myself. It was weird. I'm like, I just kind of, thanks for being interested in useful things, because I'm interested in it. The only reason why other people don't do it is because they're not interested in it. I happen to be interested in vehicles, mechanic shit, numbers, finance, business, creativity. And I used to think it was a terrible fault because I wanted to focus on one thing and be really good at it. But I mean, every strength can be a weakness, and every weakness can be a strength. And I was fucking riding a dirt bike that weekend. Man, I took a second to appreciate my eclectic mix of and wild. And this week I was streaming myself playing video games on Twitch. Like, it's eclectic. It's a little bit of a fucking basket. So yeah, I want to give myself a shout out at the end of it. But anyway, that's it, folks. Just wanted to do a little episode, and I have some news that I said is secret, because I gotta keep it secret. You'll know why in a little bit, but it's part of the reason why I needed money. I'm in the studio again tonight. The music has not been going as quick as we want, but we're doing it. We've been in the studio a bunch, and we're going to have a fucking new music summer. We have some really sick songs. We're shooting the music video in 2 weeks, which is going to be a live music video. So we're going to play it live. So we have like live concert kind of vibe. And we have stuff in the mix, and all I got to do is get myself paying for it. And I've kind of been stretching my line of credit. That's why I'm, selling some things, and I got to get my money up. So I'm doing like advertising for my real estate photography business. But other than that, folks, sorry I took a little while off. Sorry. But rock and roll, it's all about getting famous. And I love you. Talk to you soon.